Welcome to Prize for Revival. Today we want to look at the man of God whom God used mightily to do the work of God in his generation. And that man's name is Charles Spurgeon. The Secret to Prayer by Charles Spurgeon. Today we want to look at the praying life of a believer. This is what he says. He says, if a church does not pray, then it is dead already. From his experience, Charles Spurgeon was a man who has this passion for prayer. He prays and he has so many messages on prayer. He has tremendous experience. He carried the prayer of God in his life. And here he tells you a great while before morning, Jesus will always goes out to pray in a solitary place. So the habit of Jesus simply tells us how we should pattern our life as we seek for revival. A person who wants revival must have a discipline for prayer, because prayer enhances your ability to get connected with God. It enhances your capacity as a human. You know, there are weaknesses in our flesh, and a Christian who does not pray is spiritually dead. This is important for you as a believer who want revival. Charles Spurgeon says, a church that does not pray, that church is dead. And what is a church? We are the church. You are the church. The believer is the church. That means if you don't pray, you are already dead. Prayer activates the power of God within the believer. Do you know there is a power of God inside you? It takes prayer to activate it. And so therefore, as a believer, I admonish you, like Charles Spurgeon says, prayer is something that keeps you alive. That means one of the signs you can know whether you are alive or dead as a Christian is dependent on your prayer life. Your prayer life is an indicator to your being alive or to you being dead in the faith. And so one of the things I will recommend to you is begin to structure your life or your time at least 2 times a day to pray and seek the face of God. It doesn't have to be too long, but it's an act of devotion yourself to the Lord, devoting yourself to God, letting him know that he is important. Look, when a person is praying regularly, that person is simply saying to God, you are important to me. You mean a lot to me. That's why I cannot do without you. I want to get close to you. I want to get to know you. These are the indicators that shows God that you also care about him. You love him, because God wants us to get close to him. He wants us to be, to be his close friends. That's why Jesus teaching in Matthew chapter 6, he says, when you pray, he's not saying if you pray. He says, when you pray, that means we are expected to pray. That is important for us as believers to keep that in mind. Let me just bring you that Bible verse now. Matthew chapter 6, Jesus speaking, he says, when you pray. And it's important for us to put this thing into practice. He said, when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogue and in the corner of the street, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward already. He said, but when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father who seeth in secret, and thy Father who seeth in secret will reward you openly. So there is a reward for praying, and Jesus said, when you pray, that is not a suggestion, that is not a conditional, it's a requirement. When you pray, it means he expects us to pray. Charles Spurgeon says, a church or a believer who doesn't pray is an indicator that that person is dead. That church is dead. You see, the church is where it is today is because go to the church activities, they pray for 5 minutes, 2 minutes. All they do is singing and talking and chatting. But the main deal for the church is prayer. In fact, we should pray for 1 hour and have a service of teaching and preaching for 20-30 minutes. Prayer is the main life of the church. If we take this out, the church has nothing to do. So you as a believer, put this foundation for your life. Start praying. Find time to pray. Spend time with God. Tell him, Lord, I love you. I just want to pray. I just want to spend time with you to tell you that I love you. I want more of you. If we want revival, we must pray. As Spurgeon said, if a church does not pray, then that church is dead. If a believer does not pray, that believer is dead. Whatever you are doing, prayer must be at the foundation. Prayer is the catalyst that promote and fuel the fire of revival. So Jesus, as the Son of God, he prayed. How much more you and I? In fact, one time the disciple came to him and said, Master, teach us how to pray, as John taught his disciple. So I encourage you today, find time to pray. Take time to pray. Structure your prayer life. If you want revival, start with praying. May God bless you and have a blessed day. Shalom, shalom.